Hi, Charlie.
Who's this?
Jack from class.
Jack, how are you?
Muted, Charlie?
Yep, I couldn't see at first, Jack, because we were, I was just plugging us in to go live. So glad to have you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I had my speaker turned off. I wasn't hearing you.
Okay, all right. Well, we are live now. So, hi, I'm Charlie Zeiss with Stargate Pyramids. This is our most recent edition of Pyramid Quest. I'm glad to see two of my friends on with us today. Jack and Michael are joining us live, and we offer up if any of you would like to join us live as well. I think we've got a feedback issue here. Hold on.
Charlie, your phone is on.
It's not my phone. I think there must be a copy of this on let me see. Maybe it's on live on, anyway, I'll try to fix that in a minute if it continues. Anyway, joining me today is Jack and Michael, but also a special guest today is Lisa Richards. We're going to have, bear with me, I've got to make sure everybody else checks as well. We've got a feedback somewhere here.
Charlie, try muting everyone and then unmute them one at a time.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I was just going to try it. I didn't know if I was co-host.
Hello.
Well, of course, we're not going to hear you now, Charlie, because you just muted yourself. I knew today was going to be fun.
All right, let's see. Mute, 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 mute. All right, let's see if we have the same problem now. All right, it must be one of you, someone that's on the group now has their video on. So I'm just going to leave it in the, Jack, I'm going to leave you and Michael. I'm going to take you off, on, and I'm going to unmute Bill, Lori, Lisa, and let's see what happens now. All right, do we have any problems right now? Let's see.
So somebody is probably on Zoom and then watching the live stream as well. That's my guess.
Yeah. So Jack or Michael, please check and see if you have this on somewhere else.
It's Jack because he's the last one to come on.
Okay, I think it must be Jack. So we're going to keep you muted for a while, Jack, but we'll come back and try to turn you back on in a minute. So I apologize, but I think we've at least got the problem solved for now. Welcome to Pyramid Quest. We've got a really stacked, as one of the show hosts or commentators that I listen to says every day. We are talking today primarily about how to turbocharge your pyramid. And we've got some very exciting information that Lisa Richards is going to be providing us about new products that she's developed. And also, Bill McKenzie is going to be showing us ways that you can further enhance your pyramid energies as well. So before we begin, there's just one thing that I want to talk to people about that I think is, we're going to see how much time we have left today. But I did a slide, I did a show over the weekend. Once again, I was asked by Richard Hoagland to join his program, Other Side of Midnight. I was a guest host along with a researcher named Sherry Edwards. Sherry is a sound healer, and she was talking about her technology. Well, in preparation for that, I really started to think about the pyramid and its healing effects. I didn't have much time to talk about this Saturday, as it turned out. So I've done a video. You can see it. I just put it out this morning. Here it is. It's called Russian Pyramids and the Coronavirus. So if you didn't get a message on that, if you're not subscribed, go to my YouTube channel and you'll see that as my most recent upload. So I think it's very relevant and important topic to be discussed. But what I do in summary is to show how the pyramid was able in mice to increase the survival rate when they were injected with the typhoid fever virus by a factor of 10. So I think this is very, very relevant and timely information. We're not going to discuss it today because we've got all these other exciting things to talk about today about turbocharging the energy of your pyramid. With that out of the way, we're going to see how much more information and time we have, but we're going to start. Lori may have to leave us in about 25 minutes. So I wanted to let Lisa discuss the new things that she is doing to energize and the pyramids, and also some new approaches to attaching the capstones that she makes. And we're going to be doing a live test to show you the impact and the improvement in the energy field that comes from using these new products that Lisa's going to talk about. And I wanted, before Lori has to leave, to let Bill and Lori do some tests to show you that enhancement and its dramatic impact. So Lisa, take it away.
Okay. Yeah, definitely talking about turbocharging. This is the longest I've sat in this pyramid since I've added the bionized quartz sand. We've been on the phone for about an hour before the show started, and I feel like I'm going to shoot through my roof right now. So I can't sit here still. I've been antsy. My legs are bouncing and stuff. So a lot of people have been interested in the bionized quartz sand that I've been making. Bionization is a process of freezing and boiling several times, which creates like a pumping action and draws more life force energy to the product. You can do it with crystals, metals, other things as well to add more life force energy. I utilize the same sand that Charlie uses in the base of his pyramid, the aqua quartz. It's very high in quartz content, 97%, but it's going to be bionized, so it has more energy. A lot of people have been interested in adding it to the poles, and it's something that we have been doing, Charlie and I, for a while, but we had a problem at first because when you add the sand, which is very heavy, to the side poles, it was making them bend a little bit, which was creating an issue with the energy field of the pyramid. We discovered, and Charlie actually discovered this, that to create the poles to be more stable, the external connectors, which is what I have on here, not the internal ones, the external ones create more stability. So my entire pyramid frame is filled with the bionized quartz sand. You can see that they're not bowing at all because of the external connectors here. Keeps them really stable. So we're going to have Lori and Bill test the energy field. The pyramid Charlie is sitting in right now is his version. There's no capstone. It has the zip tie at the top, at the peak. And then the base is filled with the aqua quartz sand that Charlie offers as an added energy amplifier on his site. My pyramid is the same height. It's a 6.5 foot pyramid. But each of the pipes is filled, the side poles, the base poles, all of them are filled with the bionized quartz sand that I make. And then I have one of my capstones on the top. It's the bionized quartz. It's called the sand castle. It's just the bionized quartz and resin. One thing I did different is when I plug the pipes of my pyramids, I don't use the quartz because that actually creates a little stop in the flow of energy, and I wanted the energy to flow through the entire frame. So I used a combination of beeswax mixed with the bionized quartz sand. So right here at the end of each pole, there's going to be a chunk of bionized quartz sand with beeswax, and the same at this pole, and they're touching. So it's going to create more of a flow through the whole entire pyramid frame.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I'd like to get a measurement, mine compared to Charlie's, but then also I wanted to touch on the research that Bill and Lori discovered by holding the capstone above your head inside of the pyramid. So I have another sandcastle capstone, which I can hold above my head in the pyramid and get an energy reading that way. And then I also have my own personalized capstone, which I'd like to hold above my head in the pyramid and get a reading that way as well.
Well, perfect. So
Before I go through the ceiling.
Boy, the
well,
energy
you
I
just might.
felt when the second pyramid that you picked up, I could really feel it just going crazy. So that is amazing.
Oh yeah.
So
So let me ask you this before we do the test. I'm kind of curious. You said this is the longest you've been since you've changed that. Do you prefer it that way or do you prefer it the other way? I'm just kind of curious.
I get so charged from this pyramid itself, even before I put the quartz in. I usually stay in no more than a half an hour.
So really
So
it's that you
over an
don't need as
hour.
much time in the pyramid as you did before.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
but I think, and now I'm digressing, but energizing these fields more profoundly. Again, this goes back to the coronavirus and all healing kinds of situations. It's got to be enhancing the field itself and the healing potential and the distance that pyramid is having an impact on its environment. So those are all things to keep in mind. So, well, Bill and Lori, if you're ready, since I'm pretty.
I have a
I
comment.
think Jack has a question.
Sure, Jack.
He's muted, Charlie.
Charlie, you can go.
Oh, sorry, Jack. Hold on. So I'm sorry. I think we got the problem solved. So.
Yeah, I had one extra on.
Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. You're all set now, Jack. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I bought some laminar crystal, which is supposed to be very energy enhancing. And I had some that I put in the refrigerator with some food that has say the strawberries, it keeps them longer. So and laminar crystal is very light per se, as opposed to sand. How do you feel that would work in the pyramid?
Well, I guess what we'd want to do is to try to test that, Jack. I don't know if you have any with you, but we'd be happy to try that at some point here. If we have time today, we'll do it. But I do want to have Lisa have a chance to get her bionized sand experiment done here, and then we can try to get back to that. Okay?
That'll be fine.
Okay. So since I'm pretty low energy, I'm going to get out of my pyramid. I'm just not really kidding, but anyway, that'll be, I think, the first step is to test, quite honestly, my pyramid by itself and get everyone to get a reading, and then we'll use that as a base level to compare against all of the various options that Lisa's going to be showing us. So let me pull out of the pyramid. And as soon as Lori, you and Bill have some readings, then we'll proceed on.
Well, no matter what we get for a read, it's positive energy no matter what you're in the pyramid. So even if we're getting a read of 8K without him in it, it's still a positive energy that's helping Charlie. So I'll let you get that, Bill.
I've got 14K.
Oh, 14K. Now that is different than originally when we used to read the pyramids. So I wonder what the difference is now.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, and then do we want Lisa to step out for a second?
I think so, just to get a
Okay.
base case,
Okay.
because that way we'll be able to see. Now, she does have the capstone on top, so
Oh, she does.
Well, I have the Bionized Quartz sand, the sand castle is on top of mine. That's just
Oh,
one of the
so
base
it's the
ones
plain
that I
one,
offer on
okay.
my website. Yep.
okay.
I've got
Well, I'm getting 100K on this one, so I don't know what Bill is getting.
24K.
Okay, that's quite a difference.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna move my chair out and I'm gonna,
Okay.
I'll try holding another one of the sandcastle capstones above my head. So there's gonna be the sandcastle capstone on the top already, and then I'll hold one above my head. And then we can try another reading with my personal capstone.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Okay.
$50 million.
I was getting like 175 mils. So I don't know.
Oh my
You
goodness.
don't think this is affecting my reading at all, do you?
Well, let's ask.
I don't know, but now why don't we try the same thing, Lisa, if you don't mind, with you sitting, because I know that that has a huge impact as well, standing inside the pyramid. So would
It
you mind
does.
holding that
Okay.
one on top of your head while you're seated?
Oh, sure, sure.
Another question I have for you, Lisa, while you're doing this, I'm sure you've done that, but are you oriented to magnetic north?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay. So I'm just holding this. Do you want me to hold it above my head while I'm sitting here, or just on my lap?
Either way, maybe do it both ways.
10 mil.
10 versus what was it, Bill?
50.
50 standing up. Okay. So you can see this huge difference in standing versus seating. So, and we're going to be talking about that, or Bill's going to be talking about that later in the program in some of the research that he's been doing and will be demonstrating.
Let's try this now. Okay, this is my own personal designed custom capstone. I don't like designing things for myself. It's hard. So Lori and Bill both helped me design my own. This is the one
It's
specifically
beautiful.
that Lori. Yeah, thank you. I still need to finish it up. Like I said, I just literally created it a little while ago. But one of the things I did, because Lori recommended that I add magnetite to mine inside, and I use a magnetite powder. So I was wondering, how do I get the magnetite powder just to stay inside? And it came to me to make a small pyramid. So I used one of my small ones, just like the one Lori has, that same size. I used magnetite powder mixed with the resin, but I also put a chunk of phenacite in it as well, which has a huge vibration. So, and I always tell people this, if you have a capstone, you can put it underneath, or an extra capstone or another pyramid, this shape of the Russian pyramid, put it underneath your chair. It's going to amplify the power of the larger one. So the smaller pyramid that's inside my custom capstone is actually helping amplify the energy as well. So let me try it on my head and then I'll try standing.
You first, Lori.
Okay, I'm getting 100 billion. That's what I'm saying. I could be way off. But
That's
It's
with
a
a
lot.
B? That's with a B?
I got 2 billion.
Okay,
Nice.
it's still in the B. So let's stand up and see what happens.
Okay, hold on one sec.
When it's in your lap, it's
Oh,
1 billion.
you want me to try it in my lap as well?
I measured it and it was 1 billion in your lap
Oh, fascinating.
Okay.
on your head. And I'll bet you go to 10 billion if you stand up.
Okay, let's try it.
Well, and I am kind of curious if you stay in there longer, because what I've recognized is the longer you stand with it, the more it seems to increase it as you keep going.
Well, also too, you said before, standing facing the west, remember, is going to enhance
Right.
the energy field more. Right now I'm facing south, but I can turn and we can measure that
So you
too.
can stand either in any direction.
You can
Right.
stand in any direction?
Yes.
Okay.
25 or 20 bill now. So
And then can we just hold for just a second? I want to see what happens here if
Yeah.
it goes up, because I can feel your energy just bubbling.
So I have a question that goes back to the referencing the law of one. Now this is in reference to the Giza pyramid, but the law of one says that you can't spend too much time in the apex energy of that pyramid
And that's correct.
because it's like standing out in the sun too long. You get sunburned.
That's correct.
Okay.
And what I notice with her when she's standing is I can feel her pancreas. So and I feel like a positive thing with her pancreas. It's as if it's healing it or doing some kind of healing work with that. So now if you measure it now, what do you get?
Um, it's a little higher, maybe 40 bill.
Okay. All right.
So it's working that quickly. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
I
could
would
feel a
say
surge, like,
something
through my
within,
heart.
yeah, something within that area. You don't want to be there any longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the law of one said 30 minutes with the Giza configuration.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
With the Giza, we're talking this one.
Yeah. Yeah. A little stronger. A little stronger.
This is a rocket booster.
Yeah,
makes-
definitely. Woo. It's hot in here.
So, so Lisa, to go back, what do you think is the, you attribute the additional energy of the custom capstone for you?
Oh, my custom capstone, it's really jacked up. It has the phenacite in the center. It has the smaller magnetite pyramid in the center. It also has 4 Lemurian quartz crystals and 4 Herkimer diamonds on top of the lepidolite mica and the bionized quartz sand. So yeah, it's really going to amplify the energy quite a bit. And like I haven't worked with mine a lot yet. I just literally took it out of the mold about 15 minutes before we started. So
Are you going to offer a turbocharged version?
yes, definitely.
Cool.
So I'm going to start. And another thing, did you want me to talk about the platform?
Absolutely.
that
No,
I'm
that
making?
I was going to go ask that next, but go right ahead.
Okay, so you know what Lori and Bill discovered is when you have that capstone in the apex, right below the top of the pyramid is going to be where most of the energy resides. It's going to bring most of the power to you. So I'm creating a little platform that's going to be about a foot below the apex. And you're going to be able to put your capstone on that ledge instead of standing there and holding it. See how it boosts your energy that way. You can also utilize that little platform for charging crystals, charging your seeds before you plant them, energizing a sick plant, you know, anything like that. Water, yes, yeah, definitely. Charging your water and drinking that for the day. It's going to be a lot more powerful and it's going to be a lot quicker up there charging than it would in the base of your pyramid or underneath your chair.
Have you decided what sort of materials you're going to make that platform from?
Well, my prototype that we made already is just out of plywood. So definitely non-conductive materials. And I might actually make a couple of versions. So there's a cheaper option for people and a more decorative, more powerful option. But I'd like to make one out of resin and bionized quartz sand as
Sure.
well. So it's going to have like a little bionized quartz charging plate.
Yeah. Well, just to digress, Lisa, as you know, but I want to explain to the audience, we did do this for a while, but I decided not to continue to put it in the vertical pipes for not only the reasons that you suggested earlier, but quite honestly, as a business owner, for product liability purposes, when people aren't thinking clearly, and if they had the old capstone as the sole source of securing the pyramid together and they tried to move it, that thing might fall off and hit you on the head and so forth. So that really was an additional reason why I did not suggest putting the sand into the vertical pipes. And so, this solution is going to be great for several reasons. One, you can secure the pyramid with the zip tie, which is going to be generally more secure. And I think by the time, I haven't seen your prototype, but it may be that ledge is going to actually help to support the pyramid when it's moved as well. So I think lots of advantages here in that new design. So how can people get in touch with you who are interested in these new designs and take advantage of them?
Yeah, so if you just go to Charlie's website, there's a link to the custom capstones that I create. Just click on that product. It's going to take you to my Etsy store. So I also have different types of designs. I have a base one, which is just the bionized quartz sand for the capstone. There's also an in black and white, which it goes into detail about how that is beneficial for you. And then if you can send me a picture of yourself, you can also do the intuitive design where I can tap into your energy and design one specifically for your healing needs at this moment. And that's what a lot of people like to do. I've been shipping capstones all over the world now. I have one going to Australia this week, England, all over the world.
That's fantastic. I
only have.
Go ahead.
Oh, I also offer the bionized quartz sand for sale on there now. I'm not offering for me to do it for you, to fill your poles for you, but I will have an instructional video up soon on how to do it and how I recommend doing it with the beeswax. Eventually, down the road here, I'll be adding the corks for sale as well if you will prefer the corks, or I'll add beeswax as well, so you can have the whole kit when your bionized sand arrives to fill your poles.
Okay, so, just to be perfectly honest and selfish, I am so happy you're doing this because I don't like putting the sand into the bottom of the poles. So I look at this as not only as a way for me to get around doing something I don't like to do, but I think you're getting a much, much better product when you use the bionized sand and the capstones from Lisa. So I'm really excited about having these new enhancements added to the pyramid. I know maybe I'm good at figuring the geometry out, but there are people like Lisa who are a whole lot better at enhancing the energy fields than I am. So it's been a great partnership. So
thank you. Yes, it has. And I just sitting in here for this past hour, I've written down several more ideas. So just different enhancements that we're going to do down the road.
Yay.
We're going to do something on enhancing ideas as well here very shortly. And there's a piece from Golod that I do actually talk about in the video I did this morning. And, I could probably even pull it up now and read it if we have time later in the show. So, Jack, excuse me, Lori, how much more time do you have?
I'm just going to wait until my phone rings. And so I'm good to go until it rings.
Okay. Well, Jack, now let's open up and try to get your question asked to Lori and Bill before we go into the second half where Bill's going to be demonstrating his results.
All right. I have a 4-pound bucket of laminar crystal that I have set in my pyramid. It's under the chair, and it's supposed to enhance energy, but I certainly don't know. So if they,
And what kind of bucket do you have?
it's a little plastic bucket
Okay.
that it came in.
Yeah, I do feel it's enhancing your energy. Absolutely. And we'll have Bill measure it because it sounds like I'm way off on measurements here today.
Should I get out of the pyramid?
I think you
Well,
should.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jack, what you might do, just like we did before, if you could get out as well as get out of the, take the bucket out, we could do a base case measurement, and then we could put the bucket back in and perhaps do a measurement that way.
Okay, the bucket's out. I'm out.
All right.
This is where I get 8K again. So
I agree.
Okay. So we've kind of got the same base load there of 8K. So Jack, if you can put the bucket of laminar back into the pyramid, we'll check it out that way. And after you've got it under the pyramid, you'll want to step out again.
All right.
I only get about 20K there, not too much more, but it's increasing it.
I got 18K, so close enough.
Okay.
Promising. Okay.
All right. So it's definitely had an impact in the positive direction. So it's just
Well, and just so you know, Jack, I get that it also balances energy. So something about that crystal balances energy,
Okay.
which is always a good thing.
So it's a good thing.
that's
yeah.
right.
So Jack, why don't you stand up in your pyramid with your bucket over your head?
There we go. Let's try that. If you can do that cautiously and carefully and not harm you.
Well, I don't think there's enough room for that.
Then just stick it over your head while you're sitting.
So how big is your pyramid, Jack?
I think it's the 6.5 foot one.
Okay. Well, I get 70K now.
I've got 40.
Okay.
How much?
Interesting.
So it's doubled it. But
It doubled it by doing that.
so what you could do is when Lisa has her a platform available, is stick your bucket up on the platform.
Yep, that'll work.
I thank you.
All right. Well, while we've still got everyone here, let me check through the comments from the chat on YouTube. Peter Bagshaw says, "Whoa, looks like a full house." And good day from Montana, Lady D or Di, I'm not sure. Tim Collins, hello from Dublin, Ireland. And now I'm not sure about this one. Really, the one, I believe, is the way you say this. And here's a real question. Is it a problem to ground yourself earthing while also using pyramids? I tried it and got some issues with my hands becoming numb and cold.
Lori's gone.
Actually, I can answer that real quick, Charlie.
Sure, go for it, Lisa.
I actually utilize a grounding mat inside of my pyramid because I prefer my pyramid to be outside. And for all last year, during the summer and into the fall, I had this meditation pyramid outside inside of a sacred geometry temple that I built, but I was always connected to the earth. And I missed that when I moved it into my home. So I think it's on earthing.com, just bought one of those little grounding mats. You plug right into the grounding outlet on your electrical outlet, the grounding prong. And it's amazing. It provides the same type of energy for me. So, that negative energy in your body that's collected throughout the day and interactions with everybody, it's usually dispelled from your feet. And so that's why it's important to be grounded while you're in that meditation pyramid.
Perfect. Thank
I
you.
think you
And of
can make
course-
your own grounding mat with a piece of aluminum screen wire and just run a wire from your grounding part of your socket into the wire that you're standing on.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that'll work as
Yeah,
well.
or they even sell the wristband where
Right.
you just wear the wristband, so it's convenient that way too. But I've had no issues with it. I know there's some contradictions with metals being inside of the pyramid, but I found nothing but positive with the grounding mat. So
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, we've reached about the halfway point here. So now
I'm leaving.
You're leaving, Lisa. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on today. And
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Charlie, for having me.
sure, and thank you for telling us about your new products. And again, everyone, just go to my website store at stargatepyramids.com. You'll find a link to Lisa's Etsy page where you can contact her and or purchase her products.
Yep. Thanks again. Take
All
care.
righty. Bye-bye. Okay, Bill, it's now we're gonna turn this over to Bill. Bill has been doing some great research as well today. Bill's just turned on a second screen that he's going to be using as part of this demonstration. So take it away, Bill.
I got to turn off this. Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Very well, thank you.
Can you see my massage table?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a 2-foot chloroplast pyramid underneath my massage table. And to give you a reference, I'll step out here so you guys can see me. I'm outside of the pyramid. And to give you a baseline of my energy, it's about 200 mil. So now I'll sit on top of it. And I get a reading of about 700 mil.
And that again, Bill, is just due to the 2-foot pyramid, correct?
Just to the pyramid, but it's the apex energy.
Yes, and discuss what your thesis is on that.
Well, I mean, I'm just going with the law of one information saying, that, it's very high energy. And you got to be careful that you don't spend too much time in it. It's like spending too much time in the sun without sunscreen.
Right.
It's a good, 5 to 10 times stronger than what we find inside the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's only a 2-foot pyramid.
Yeah, I know.
So, then I thought, well, let's do this, So taking my capstone, putting it under, and I do put it in the middle so that the peaks are aligned, the center.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes a difference, but it's just something to consider. And now my energy is, it's kind of funny because it's not as stable as the inside. It bounces around. So it's between 5 and 7 billion.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to take this and put this all underneath my 8-foot pyramid.
Yeah.
And we'll just cut to the chase here, Charlie. I put the capstone in there
Okay.
and now I'll just straddle it. And every time I do this, I mean, I'm starting to shake now. My lower legs are starting to quiver. I mean, I'm up to like 70 to 80 billion now.
And for Bill, for people who haven't seen us do this before, you're kind of like me. You're not really all that sensitive to this energy, right?
I don't necessarily feel subtle energy. But I mean, I'm just shaking now and I feel like I could take off and fly now.
So this is, I mean, that's just profound. I don't even know, you've expressed it quantitatively, I guess, on a qualitative scale, to try to come up with a way to talk about this. But for those of you who, you can see that there's this huge difference. If you don't get the same kind of results, or, that's not due to the fact that this doesn't work, but it's qualitatively going to work for everyone, if you understand what I'm saying. I was kind of joking before, but not really. For some reason, Bill's energy levels have just risen dramatically in the last several months on their own. But it's obvious when he does this that each of these enhancements just seems to be working at some exponential level or rate to increase his energy field. So it's just an amazing stuff.
What's Bill's 2-foot pyramid made out of?
Hold on, Bill. You're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There you go.
It's made out of chloroplast, which is like a plastic laminate you can buy at Home Depot.
Oh, well, like for windows and that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All the political signboards that you see on people's lawns.
Yeah.
Those are usually made out of chloroplast.
Chloroplast.
Plast, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
And you just glued those together?
They're taped.
Taped. Okay. Well, whatever works,
It's not very sturdy. I mean, it retains its shape. So.
Yeah. So now, have you actually attempted? I don't know if the 2-footer will sit under your chair, but have you? Or will it?
No.
Okay, it's too big. Yeah. Okay.
What are your dimensions for the base of that, Bill?
Well, it's about a foot square, by 2 feet high.
Yeah.
Okay.
More or less.
Yeah, it's the ratio of height to base length is 2.06 to 1, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm just amazed at all this stuff, and this once again, I've mentioned this before, but Dan A. Davidson did a book on shape power, 25 years ago, and he kind of theorized this. I'm not sure that he was ever able to quantify it, but we've had both now Bill and Lori and Lisa attest to all of this. So I know that it's true. I'll give some anecdotal information. When I was on Saturday night with the show, Sherry Edwards had the person that she's working with. His name is James Marshall. He was a former TV actor who had some serious illness, but they played a song that he had done, which incorporated these sound frequencies that she was using. And I was sitting in the pyramid listening, and my whole body was vibrating when I heard that. So just amazing results. So Bill, how would you do you have any, or do you feel that there's any need to give any instructions, or is this a pretty straightforward process to build that 2-footer?
It's pretty straightforward, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I use those 2 web pages to calculate the you know, the angle and the height and the angle. So I think you've got it on your website, Charlie.
Yeah, I do. So you can go. It's actually on the page in my research section. On the bottom of one of the pages, there's a link to the page where you can calculate all of these numbers. So, Michael, do you have any comments you'd like to make at this point?
Yeah, actually, I just have one. It seems like all the dimensions that have been mentioned, not so much of the readings of the energetic readings, but it seems like all of the dimensions that have been mentioned all seem to have the 3 and the 6 in it, as far as on a numerological level. So I just want to add that, not really so much elaborate on it, but just to add that.
Well, that's interesting. So,
Michael, we need to. I think one of the things that we've sort of touched on before, Charlie, with the cones is there a perfect ratio between these, you know, nesting pyramids, you know? So that's something to consider down the road.
Sure.
okay, well, looks like Lori's back. Welcome back.
Hey,
Hey.
Laurie.
Hey,
Well,
Brandon Aaron, sure, that's great.
Bill just did his experiments, or demonstrated his experiments, and he said he was literally trembling when he was standing inside the pyramid with
Oh,
the 2 smaller ones stacked.
fantastic. Yeah.
And we know that Bill's sort of like me. He's not as sensitive to this stuff as a lot of people are. So
I'm pretty dense myself.
yeah. So anyway, with those done, I guess we have some time. I'll actually go ahead and do some screen shares. We've got a number of questions that came from viewers last week. Not so many from our last discussion of the Tartarian Empire, but we did do an interview with Ronnie Mitchell, who owns LA Oils and Butters, and so I wanted to let people respond to a number of the comments that came from that video as well. So this one, I think, is particularly, the first one is something that I want everyone to focus on here. For those who didn't see it, Ronnie has actually bought 3 of these pyramids and has put 2 of them, one on each side of his bed. And he started to have an interesting phenomenon occur where he was starting to literally feel a breeze while he sat on the bed when he was between those 2 pyramids. So we started to question that. And I know maybe you can see this. Peter Bagshaw, I believe, sent this first comment in. And it says that 2 similar energies will form an energetic figure-8 loop. If one of the energies is less in field strength, the stronger will feed the weaker. This happens in nature also. So any thoughts on that from anyone?
No, I just love how listeners, you know, give us this information, because we're all learning here, and it's just fascinating, where some people just already have the knowledge, and it's just very helpful. So I appreciate it.
And I just want to echo that. I can't tell you how grateful I am to everybody who's contributing to this effort, because, and I have to say too, since last week's video, I've gotten a number of calls from people, a number from Richard Hoagland's show, and people are always saying, "Gosh, I'm amazed that I actually got through to you. Like, you know, I'm not going to answer the phone." Well, I'm going to answer it whenever I have the chance. If I don't, call me back or keep bugging me, because this is not something that my ego is largely put to the side here. I'm trying to just organize the efforts of people around the world to get this technology out and together. So,
Charlie,
yeah.
You know, I liked watching that interview because I remember you said you had the aha moment where you thought, well, I should put the two, you know, in relation to each other. And it was funny because I was going to mention that to you in the future after watching one of the Tartarian, or, you know, participating and watching, excuse me, one of the Tartarian live streams. And I was actually going to do that within my own home. And I had a visitor, so I put one of the pyramids next to him, trying to, you know, power him up a little bit. But you know,
no
he was going through
ulterior
some
motive
things.
there.
Yeah. But what's it called? So I'm glad that you came to that, because I was gonna actually just mention that to you. Something I, you know, could relate to having like somewhat of an aha moment, which is something that I've done. And now with my own pyramids, I don't have the exact specifications here now perfectly or anything like that. I just have some, you know, I got the garage sale pyramids, and you guys got the Macy's going on. But yeah, I feel like it has been beneficial. It definitely has, by putting the two, because I had two by my bedside, but they were right next to each other on the same stand. So since then, you know, while I had the aha moment as well as you, I decided to put them, like we said, where I would be in the middle of the two. So yeah, I'm glad that you came up with that. I'm glad you you found that interesting.
Okay. All right. So moving on. Here. Let me make sure I guess that's it. I thought I had one more page here, but here's a really important question.
This is where I wish Lisa was still here, because she
Yeah,
has
me
such great
too.
knowledge on this. Yeah.
She grounded Beata, if I'm saying that right. I hope. What is the difference between dogs being inside the pyramid and cats? I know that cats love the negative energy, and they are always laying down where there's negative energy coming from the ground, like water veins, and dogs escaping from negative energy. Can somebody explain? And Lisa, before we went on air, did discuss this, and I'll just try to summarize it. But apparently, there's a lot of information that indicates that the natural proclivities of dogs and cats, in terms of the types of energies that they are attracted to, are different. So that's essentially what this is talking about. Negative is probably a wrong word to be using here, in the sense that it's a type of energy that they're more attracted to, not necessarily negative. So anyway, but the reason why this all came up, Ronnie had pictures that we put up of him and his dog inside the pyramid meditating. So that's kind of was the essence of the question. Now,
yeah, like mine are still in the pyramid from the earlier discussion we had before the live stream. They're still in the pyramid and right next to the other one, the smaller one. They're still right there. I believe she mentioned geomancy, I guess, is the concept that would further explain that, I guess. Or
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So just to move on, we had one of the things that we're going to have time to talk about, from a public health standpoint. I mentioned this in my video this morning, but I also want to do it as a prelude to the next area of research that we're going to talk about that an individual's doing in Canada. So this again is research that was published from Russia. And what they were doing here was to see if the Russian geometry pyramid had an impact on the atmosphere surrounding the pyramid. And the methodology that's used is that the Russians put up radar equipment at distances of 30, 32, and 60 kilometers from a 22-meter Russian pyramid. So this is only 68 feet tall. All right, so keep that in mind for a moment. The results were that the radar readings indicated the presence of an ionized field 2,000 meters or 6,200 feet high and 500 meters or 1,550 feet wide along the vertical axis of the pyramid. The column was constantly changing its height this is interesting too, from 800 meters to 2,000 meters. And the radar reflecting ability of this formation was comparable to the reflecting ability of an airplane. Now, further studies confirmed that a larger circle of this ionized energy surrounded the area above the pyramid in a 300-kilometer or 185-mile range, with the highest concentration being directly above the vertical axis of the pyramid. Dr. Golad's team calculated that if such an energy column were to be produced electromagnetically, it would require all the combined energy of all the power plants in Russia. Now, several things come to mind here, and I'm going to let Bill talk to this for a second, but this should clearly demonstrate why the energy field at the top and above the pyramid is actually so spectacularly huge. So I don't know, Bill, do you have anything to say at this point on that?
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is that since we know that we can nest pyramids to get, even greater jumps in energy, you don't need to build huge pyramids. You can just build like a 10-foot pyramid with smaller pyramids inside it and get the same effect.
Well, okay, and that's right. So just to go on to the method of action here, Golad's hypothesis is that there's an energy vortex above the pyramid. I've called it the point of creation inside of the torus, but and that the directed atmospheric ionization is a consequence of what he calls vortex radiation. Further, the detected ionic column above the pyramid delineates the neck of the funnel of this hypothetical vortex. Researchers noticed, and this is very interesting, that fragments of the ionized column detached over the pyramid and moved up in an upward flow. These fragments retain their configuration at large distances from the pyramid, and based on this data, Golad assumes that the possibility of separation or movement of this ionization within the ascending flow of the air. Depending on the weather conditions, these structures can be seen anywhere on the planet in just a few days. I mean, this is just amazing information. Now, I want to come back at some point to this idea back in the very top paragraph of results that the column was changing height from 800 to 2,000 meters. David Wilcock, has summarized some research, but I think what's basically happening here is that there's again a harmony of this field, and that this energy continues to concentrate in this field and will discharge and break up due to the buildup of this in some fashion. So with that as backdrop, I just want to focus again on the fact that, if we look out in horizontal distance, they said that this pyramid went out as far as 185 miles. So with that as backdrop, I want to go back to some information that we just started to talk about a couple of weeks ago. There's a researcher up in Canada. You can see he's living out in rural northern Canada, and he sent me a picture of a Pyrex bowl that he put out in the field away from his pyramid. Now, his pyramid is an 8-foot pyramid. And again, for those of you who haven't seen this before, this red in the middle, he mixed red dye into each one of these bowls and mixed it up thoroughly so that the effect of its condensation into the middle with these, it's hard to see in this, but there are little red whiskers that kind of come out from the sides. His theory is that this is demonstrating the vortex pattern of the energy field and pushing that red dye into the middle. So here's some updates. I talked to this individual. He still wants to stay anonymous, and I want to honor that because he wants to get as much of this research as finalized as he possibly can before he presents it to the world. But this is fascinating. He lives in rural northern Canada. He's now determined that the energy field of an 8-foot pyramid, just like, and he's made his out of plywood walls, but that 8-foot pyramid extends approximately 9.5 miles, using the same methodology of putting the dye in inside of a bowl and letting the water freeze. So with temperatures no higher than minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and that it has existed for the last several weeks, he has noticed that up again until this 9.5 mile radius, that there are still liquid centers in his bowls, meaning that the outside of the vortex has, of the bowl, the ice has formed, but on the inside, even at minus 10 degrees, it has not frozen. And that indicates a concentration of the energy inside that field. And this correlates with the studies that Golod has, and he has videos out where he's kept it directly under the pyramid, and he's had plastic bottles that have not formed ice crystals until he taps on them at about 35 degrees, minus 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So anyway, at 9.5 miles, the whiskers still appear, but are less pronounced. And at least according to his research to date, at 11 miles out, the effect does seem to stop. So just further proof that the Russian research, which was with a much larger pyramid structure, are corroborated by this researcher's information. He's promised that he's going to come on as soon as, he feels, that he's got all of the potential, questions answered in his research. But this is just amazing results.
Do you think the pyramids have any effect at all on weather?
Well, I do,
Absolutely.
Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's so funny. You were showing the water and how it froze, but there's whiskers. That is absolutely the vortex. And then I was asking, okay, so if this creates a vortex, what type of vortex? Because I clear a lot of negative vortexes all the time, like whether they're demonic vortexes or ghost vortexes where a house may have paranormal stuff going on. And so then when we're looking at, again, I always say it's the intention of what you're doing in the pyramid. But I mean, there was a time where Bill, Charlie, and I put the intention out there to no longer have, certain stuff going on, whether it's fires in California or Australia or, whatever it may be. I think we prayed for it to rain in Australia, and the next thing you know, it happened. I think it's a matter of the focus of your energy and what it is you're requesting of the pyramid at the time. So although there is this, what this gentleman in Northern Canada has done, where it's just sitting there and then existing in what it's doing, but I feel there's another technology towards the intention of our existence and what we're putting out into the Earth, galaxy, whatever wherever this goes, because we know it extends far more than our just, solar system.
Wow. I also did a somewhat similar experiment just with the ice and in my freezer. So not quite the element. I live in sunny Florida, so it's never gonna work for me. Naturally freezing, maybe once a year. But actually, it's funny how you mentioned the intention, because when I first did it, I used a Pyrex, like your average Pyrex measuring bowl or whatever, cup, but a big, decent sized one. And I could see, I was like, wow, I've never seen ice freeze like this. Now, I'm not by any means a specialist in ice or anything like that, but the visibility around, in the ring around what I would consider a vortex seemed very visible. Now, in the middle where the vortex was located, it was extending upward. So basically, it had like somewhat of a bubble, so to speak, on top where the ice was also cracked and things like that. And then around, like I said, around the edge, there was smooth as could be. That's how I'd kind of expect to see it. And so that I posted some pictures, and people, everybody's a specialist. They watch Science Channel, I guess. So everybody's got, oh, that's nothing, bro. And it was hard for the pictures to actually capture what was going on. But the few people that have seen it in person were like, whoa, wow, this is crazy. This looks crazy. Because like I said, it looked the ice looked very visible on the edge and not as visible. Barely visible. I mean, I couldn't see through it, obviously, in the top. But then when I put the light through it, the light seemed to shine right through the middle, and the outside seemed to be less visible, which was like, perplexing to me. So it's funny how you mentioned the intention, because after I got all these, bio-robotoid naysayers trying to tell me what I'm doing, which was also enlightening to me, because nobody asked me, like, what are you even trying to do? Everybody just said, well, this is how it works, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's nothing, and doing nothing special. Nobody asked, well, what are your intentions? Why'd you even do this? Why did you put a pyramid in a freezer along with ice or with water? Nobody asked. Nobody seemed to be interested in what the conclusions I was trying to draw or the reasons for me to even do this, So that was something that was interesting as well. But I did it again, but I was like, well, let me use the food coloring. Like how the gentleman did there. I think maybe it'd be easier to see the results via pictures. And I noticed it did get the whiskers and whatnot. And I did it again. And I didn't post any of this time. But the next time I did it in the same Tupperware container, it actually the first time it was frozen solid where you could lift it upside down and it would hold place with the container. Now the next time, as soon as I grabbed it, I noticed it was loose. So I'm like, oh, wow, okay, what's going on? So as soon as I take out the chunk of ice, the actual protrusion or whatever that was formerly on the top was on the bottom, and actually created a layer of empty space between the bottom and the ice.
Wow.
So I was, wow, how did that work? And also when I left the Pyrex container in the freezer. Okay, I just left it in there, like left it be, kind of out of sight, out of mind, see if there was any changes, I guess. But I mean, I even looked up the Pyrex, and it's safe and everything to put in the freezer. Man, it broke my Pyrex. And it was already frozen. It was already frozen. Like it had already been frozen for several days or however many hours or what have you. And I went to check it the next morning, and it was broken. It was not quite shattered, but it was definitely broken. There were seams or whatnot, of splits and divisions in the Pyrex. So I found that very interesting too.
So
and like I mentioned,
the power of it was too intense, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
also, like I mentioned, my specifications of my pyramids are not quite, Russian geometric. So
76 degrees. Okay.
yeah, not quite. Like I got the slant angle on my most recent ones, but I'm a progress in work or whatever.
Work in progress.
We're all works in progress.
Yes.
So, but it's cool. Yeah, but that was interesting to me, I felt. But and you could see, and everybody said, well, it's got nowhere to go. All the naysayers, and everybody was adding information, whether their intentions were to myth bust me, which was a quote from one person, myth busted or whatever. So it's like everybody was providing information. And like I said, everybody said, well, it has nowhere to go but up. So these same people, I tagged them on one of the pictures. I'm like, well, how did it go down? How did it go down? And then like something I also like to add from like what you're saying about the Russian things. Now, trust me, the laws of physics are not something that I'm very knowledgeable about, because a lot of it didn't make sense to me. Not because of my own stupidity, but sure that played a role. But also like we say, it doesn't resonate with me somewhat. Some of the things just don't feel genuine or knowledge of truth or honesty, whatever you want to call it. But is this type of thing, like the vortex and all the things you just mentioned with the Russian experiments, is it safe to say that this basically goes against the consensus or what have you of the defined laws of physics?
Well, the defined laws of physics don't include torsion physics, and I think that's just a way to summarize that problem. They're completely divorced. But anyway, I'd like to. We're getting, time is short, and I want to finish off, I've asked Lori, as she mentioned, we've done some group intentions under the pyramid to try to solve some world problems in the past. And, it may be anecdotal, but we seem to have had some success. So, I'm going to ask Lori to finish up the session by leading us in a meditation to try to help with this coronavirus. So I'm going to turn it over to Lori to
Oh, great idea, Charlie. Let's do that. And
Yeah.
all I'm going to suggest is that our intentions are pure, that we close our eyes, deep breath in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Just bringing peace into ourselves, breathing in through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. What I'd like to do is kind of focus our energies in the origins of where this was created. And we're not really sure. We've heard that it's been in a lab, but we're not really sure where this was originated. There's a lot of talk, but I want to go to the origins of it and just allow the pyramid to take us there, and that it be revealed what this really is, what this is all about, the truth behind it, and that whatever energies out there of a higher dimension, interdimensional, multidimensional, will help provide some answers, some healing, and that it will completely dissolve this virus. So keep doing some deep breathing in through the nose, exhaling out. And if anyone has any other suggestions while we're in this state,
Just love and gratitude, as always.
love and gratitude, yes. Sending lots of healing energies wherever anyone was exposed to this, have gotten infected by this. We want to just send some loving, healing energy.
Bad forgiveness.
Say that again.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Excellent. That's perfect. Another deep breath in, exhale out. That feels very peaceful. Back to you, Charlie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, for those of you who may have people or contacts in China, I did a video this morning on Russian pyramids and the coronavirus. There are some things at the end that we can send to people, but in summary, the geometry of this pyramid is found in Buddhist temples, Hindu temples, Tartarian architecture. So there may be places, and actually something as simple as the dunce cap, which people can put on their heads and make very simply to potentially assist in their aiding of their immune system to counteract this virus. So anyway, as always, I want to thank everyone for watching. Please tell your friends about Stargate Pyramids, about our weekly live stream, Pyramid Quest, and also the video that I mentioned earlier. Maybe try to get it around and see if we can't get some interest not only in trying to help the pyramid virus and do your own meditations if you're seeing this after the fact to assist in that effort. So on behalf of everyone here, I thank you all for watching today, and you have a great day.
You also.